Astros have a 5-game lead in the AL over the Yankees. And guess who they're playing next? They're playing the Angels, then the Rangers, then the Angels, then the Tigers, then the A's. Then they play a good team and the Rays, and then the Orioles, and then the D-backs, then the Rays again. So the Astros have the chance to bring up the lead a little bit more and keep the lead in AL. So we're going to talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast that starts now.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. I'm going to be taking Sunday off, so I told Brett to take the night off and go ahead and relax. It's been a long week for us, and a lot of we almost did a show last night, and we're like, okay, so if the Astros signed Michael Conforto, let's go and do a show last night. And so that did not happen. And so thankfully, the Astros, from what I understand, the Astros are probably in on it. But at the end of the day, it did not make any sense. Why would you go out and get somebody who could only play DH for you when you had Yordan Alvarez? I know Alvarez can go play in the outfield, but at the same time, why would you go do that? And I just think that all the ducks could not get in a row. So that's something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. We wasted so much time in yesterday's podcast on Conforto, and it didn't happen. So we're going to talk about the big story today, and that is Hunter Brown and Yainer Diaz have officially been added to the 40-man roster. They will be in Anaheim, ready to play some baseball. Who knows when they're going to be actually playing, but that's exciting to see the number 1 and number 3 Astros top prospect playing, about to make their major league debut. So I know that September call-ups are typically just additional depth pieces, but these guys can make instant impact. I mean, Diaz is a guy who's got definitely one of the best offensive pieces in the minor league system. And if you look at Hunter Brown, he has been one of the best pitchers, not just in the Astros farm system, but in Major League Baseball. And the only reason why the Astros have not called him up until this point was because they didn't need him. They've been 7 starters deep, and then Justin Verlander goes down, and he still may not even be a starter. So yeah, a lot of people are talking about Peter Solomon. So there were some DFAs today. Unfortunately, one of them was Niko Goodrum. He's somebody that we did talk about, that Goodrum signed a $2.1 million free agent deal with the Astros. I think a lot of people were kind of worried about maybe Jeremy Pena was not ready, so they signed Goodrum as maybe a backup option just in case Pena was not ready. Then Pena got off to the hot start. Then they sent Goodrum down. Goodrum got off to a hot start in the minor leagues, and then he got hurt, and he didn't come back until August 11th, and he just hasn't had another chance to come up to big leagues. You're paying him a lot of money, so the Astros were just like, look, we'd rather have Hunter Brown playing for the Houston Astros than Niko Goodrum playing AAA. So the Astros are losing some money here, but they went ahead and designated him for assignment. Now, if a team claims him, they're going to have to pay. The team that claims him is going to have to pay for the about $400,000 left on his deal. Now, if he goes through waivers, then the Astros can go ahead and just put him back in the AAA system and just go and pay him, or because he's a veteran, that he can just say, okay, well, I'd rather just be released and go find a place on another team. So that's something that Niko Goodrum could do. So that's the story on Niko Goodrum. He's basically this season in AAA, and he's had he was non-tendered by the Tigers last year. He batted .214 with them, but he kind of had a good he didn't really look too good with the Astros. He struck out a lot in his plate appearances with the Astros. Then he went down to AAA. So Nico Goodrum is what Nico Goodrum is. He was a backup option just in case you needed him. And even with the Yainer Diaz on the IL, I know that he just came back on August 11th, but they had opportunity to bring up Goodrum and they did not. So that just shows where he was in the pecking order. Now, Peter Solomon was somebody that Astros were pretty high on for a while, but he just didn't look so good this year. He had a 5 point something ERA this year. This was his worst season as a professional player. And the Astros just went ahead and just said, look, we probably think that Ronel Blanco can work out his control issues. He's got a future. But Peter Solomon is somebody that just hasn't really put it all together in the big leagues. He's been given ample opportunities. So, yeah, he is somebody that could possibly slide through waivers and just accept a minor league assignment with the Astros. So he's likely to stay. Goodrum, somebody may actually pick him up. We'll see what happens. But those are the two moves that the Astros made today to make room for that. And I'm being joined by a special guest, Brandon Del Castillo of Talking Astros podcast. What you doing, Brandon?
Finally got to make it on air with you again.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know can you try to tilt your phone this way so maybe we can see more of your beautiful head there. There you go.
How's that? Well, then I can't show Maryland Southwest Region chance, baby.
All right. So what do you think about the moves that the Astros made today? They went ahead and DFA Goodrum and then Peter Solomon. Do you agree with those moves?
Well, I think the Nico Goodrum, that should have been done a while back. They obviously kept him of severe injury, but I think in the long run they decided it wasn't going to help, even if somebody did get injured, and that the emergence of David Hensley. As far as Peter Solomon goes, I was a little surprised. He was, I thought, a quality arm who had been up previously, but I was thinking about it when I saw that he was DFA. The Astros are blessed with pitching. They're very pitching deep, and I'm sure somebody will, maybe he'll have still be able to have a good career. But right now, the Astros are so deep, it's a luxury.
Yeah, for sure. So the Astros definitely made the right moves. They're going to bring up these two young guys, hopefully give the Astros a shot in the arm. Hunter Brown, he's been dominating AAA all year. And what I think the Astros are bringing up Diaz for is the third catcher option. He can be a pinch hitter, a power hitter off the bench. He's somebody that if you have to pinch hit for Maldonado late in the game, you don't have to worry about, let's say Christian Vasquez comes in and then he gets hurt. You don't have to worry about not having catcher because you took Maldonado out. And so this is a perfect situation. Last year we saw Garrett Stubbs, I believe it was last year, in that situation. So I think that this works out pretty good in a whole. So by the way, we are working on bringing back Talking Astros pretty soon. So we are working on bringing Brandon and I back together once a week. So we can't really get into any details on that yet. But yes, I will still be doing Locked On Astros with Brett daily. But I miss Brandon. We miss. This is how I got my podcasting started, and I wanted to get back with this. So, so what are your concerns about? Let's see, about Justin Verlander being out for this time. Do you think it's good that how long do you think he's going to be out, I guess is what I'm trying to say?
3 weeks. I know it's a 15-day disabled list. I know, look, but it's not one of those where the Astros, kind of play it cautiously and hold people out. This is a real injury, small one, thankfully. but you do need to make sure properly and that he's healthy when he comes back. You don't want it to affect the way he pitches, that he changes his mechanics and something happens to his arm. You want to make sure he's for the playoffs. So I would say they're probably going to be like we know they do. If he gets hopefully 3 but good starts at the end of the year, you know, that's what you know, it looks like, you know, we will have that bye, so he'll have an extra week he can throw of the playoffs, the first week of the playoffs, to build up his pitch count. So I'm not too worried about that as long as by it looks like he's getting back on the mound.
Right. All right. So, guys, speaking about getting back on the mound, let's go and talk about something pretty important. And that is, give me 1 second. Are you one of those people that thinks it's okay to drive stoned? What's the worst thing that can happen? You can end up driving below the speed limit. It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is that your reaction time slows way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind a wheel. If you feel different, you drive different, drive high and get a DUI. And also, guys, with the playoffs coming around, why don't you go to Simple Seats? Simple Seats is the best place to get the tickets you need. And don't go and pay all those extra fees. And Simple Seats has a way of dividing the venue into zones, so you don't waste time to searching endlessly for seats. You pick the zone. We pick the right seats. You get the best possible price. No surprises at checkouts. You know how you go some places and they add on all these fees at the end? That's not what happens at Simple Seats. And the ticket prices you see are the only ones you pay with our all-in-one pricings. No added fees, period. So make sure you go check them out. Simple Seats. I bought the Steve Trevino tickets. Brett and I have both been buying Astros tickets with it. It's just the best place to get your tickets. So make sure you go use the promo code LOCKEDON10, and you can go ahead and get $10 off your first purchase of $50 or more. And so go check them out. Simple Seats, the best place to buy your seats. All right. So, Brandon, let's go ahead and look at this. I kind of, before the show, I talked about the upcoming schedule. There's only maybe 2 or 3 series that the Astros will be playing against teams that have a winning record. The rest of them are bad teams, notably the Angels, the Rangers. Again, I feel like we play the Rangers so much this year, but I guess we haven't really. But definitely the series coming up. Somebody asked, are Brown and Diaz eligible for the playoffs? Yes, as long as they were added to the 40-man roster, and they were added to probably the 40-man roster yesterday, or I think there's some stipulation that as long as they're added at some point. So the Astros did what they needed to do before the deadline. So that they are added there. So if you're looking at, will they be available for playoffs? Yes. I think that's, like I've been saying on the podcast, I think that the Astros are hoping that maybe one of them could be their Randy or Rosarina this year, somebody who comes in and just catches on fire and maybe leads the Astros. But are you at all concerned with Alvarez's hands? Do you think that this is going to be something that's going to linger for too long?
I'm absolutely concerned. You know, reports about that he was having hand trouble is when he started going downhill. He's got 4 total in the last month, maybe longer. So yeah, I don't see him driving the ball at all. I think it's affecting his. Yeah, I am very concerned. I think that pretty much on the head about the Diaz call up. My question is, he has been on fire. If that's why you want to do that, I think Diaz might get a little bit more DH time to allow to heal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the other day. Maybe the Diaz, or even we were talking on the phone yesterday about Michael Conforto, and I don't know if that was even something that was even realistic. I know Brett and I talked about it on podcast, but it made no sense. If you have Alvarez playing DH, and then you have Mancini, who can only really play. I mean, he can play some outfield and first base and DH, and then you have Yuli, who plays DH and first base, and then you have a couple guys that can play left field. It just didn't make a lot of sense for you to go out and sign another DH. But at the same time, maybe the Astros just weren't happy with. I know they already lost Michael Brantley, and so maybe they were just trying to go out there and make an upgrade. But according to John Heyman, late last night, the Astros were out of it, and then Mark Berman said that the reported 2 years, $30 million deal was inaccurate. And so I don't know if that means that the numbers were wrong, or I don't know if that means that the deal was maybe 3 years or something like that. I don't know. We're talking about Scott Boras. Somebody said earlier in the chat, maybe it was all a smokescreen to try to get the Yankees or somebody to pay for more. We've seen that with Scott Boras before. Remember Carlos Beltran?
Yep, I agree. As someone that negotiates deals all the time, that's probably exactly what he was doing. The number 2 for $30 million didn't make sense from the Astros for the fact that if he can't play in the outfield because of his arm right now, what good is he? It just doesn't make any sense to bring onto this team. We do right now is with Michael Brantley being out, the person in there and battle the pitcher, have them waste a bunch of pitches and really hard, tough at bat, even if he makes an out. You've seen that, Bregman's always that guy going great. Now he is, hitting everything, but you really, Altuve first pitch. And so it was really nice to have Brantley behind him to really put up and get the pitcher to use a bunch of his pitches and let the rest of the team see. And we really have lost that. I know they've tried Yuli there and they've tried it, but I guess if they were in it at all, maybe they were like Michael Conforto to come in and put up that good at bat. It didn't make sense. The timing of it didn't make sense. And the numbers certainly don't have you.
Okay, Brandon, can you try exiting and come back in? Your audio's cutting in and out. All right. So while he's trying to come back in and out, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Astros. The Astros record since July 9th is 29-19. The Yankees are 18-29. So like I said to start the show, they have a 5-game lead over the Yankees for the best record in AL, and they hold the tiebreaker. So the Astros are in a good spot. They didn't need to go get Conforto, but they felt like it would have just added, like I talked about, maybe if he wasn't the starting DH because he hasn't played baseball all year, but maybe he could have been like a big power bat off the bench, maybe get an occasional start, something like that. But just kind of I think that's what you were saying, just somebody that just they felt like maybe it would be worth looking at. And but kind of moving on to Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown is coming up. I don't think we know his role yet. I know in his last start in AAA, they went ahead and brought him in as a reliever when he was supposed to start, but they brought him in kind of mid-inning. I know there's 2 outs, and it wasn't really as messy as they hoped it would be, but they still got him ready like that. So what role do you see him kind of serving on this team?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because the Ty Verlander is going to be out. I'd like to see him get a start, just to let him break into the majors like that one start. I think we all agree that he's the for this year and this be in the bullpen, and so I don't know if you just throw him out there and see what he's got, give him an inning or two to try to blow people away. That because I think do, because we saw it last year. Kyle Wright came in for the Astros, hadn't seen him before, and he just dominated the Astros lineup. Game that Morton got hurt, and Kyle Wright came in and finished it, and the Astros didn't have a chance. Brown stuff that the Yankees have not seen, that the Mariners have not seen, the Tampa Bay Rays have not seen. So I think that's good. I'm hoping he brings the same fire and his talent that we hear, and he becomes a big weapon for us, because I think he could bring about come November when we're holding up the trophy.
Yeah, I like the way you think, Brandon. So definitely, it starts on Friday with, Lance McCullers on the mound. He is a big key to the Astros postseason, especially depending on the health of Justin Verlander. I know it's supposed to be a minor setback for Verlander, maybe weeks or so, and not the whole year. Like he said, that if it was a little bit more of an injury, it could have put him out for a whole year. But Lance McCullers has dealt with the injury all year, but now he's back, and he's got a 1-1 record with a 1.69 ERA, 13 strikeouts so far. He'll be on the mound on Friday night with Reed Detmers on the mound. He's 5-4 with 3.47 ERA, 99 strikeouts. I believe he had a no-hitter earlier this year. So he's definitely somebody to kind of watch out for. But the Angels, who've had some success against McCullers, is Matt Duffy is batting .333 and 3 at-bats. And then you have Taylor Ward with 1 home run and batting .667 and 3 at-bats. So a lot of the current Angels have not had a lot of success against him. Mike Trout does have 2 home runs in his career, but he's batting .167. Shohei Ohtani is batting .188 in his career, and that's about it. So off of Detmers, you have Altuve with a homer batting .200, but that's the only one that's actually hit a home run. I don't know if Chas McCormick will be in the lineup. I don't know if he's still nursing that pinky injury, but he's batting 1,001 at bat. I know that's not really fair, but Jeremy Pena has 2 hits and 4 at bats. So this will be I think this matchup will favor the Astros with McCullers on a mound, but it depends on how much control McCullers has. So what do you think? How do you think this game's going to go?
But I think you said the one word for both pitchers is control. Both of them have great stuff. They're both pick, but first rounder, and so is Detmers. They both have the talent. Pitching for both of those guys, it's about their control. Is Detmers piled inside and outside of the zone, so that's why I would like to see that. You're never going to get. I mean, you will get great at bats from Altuve, and he's shown. He's going to. If that first pitch is good, he's going to be hacking at it. So he needs to put up some really good professional at bats, and I don't think he's going to offer too much inside the zone, and I don't want to see the chase. As far as McCullers goes, we all know if he's got control of it and he commands it, he's gonna be able to go 6 strong. I definitely think that favors the Astros lineup, bullpen, starting pitcher. The one game I'm worried about is the Ohtani start on Saturday against Luis Garcia. So.
Yeah. And it shows how we can't really evaluate a pitcher on their win-loss record, because they both have a 11-8 record. Shohei Ohtani's ERA is 2.67, and Garcia's record is 4.14. So Ohtani is a beast on the mound and at the plate. So I don't know if he's going to win the MVP this year. I think that Aaron Judge may have that locked up with what he's doing up in New York. But if his team continues to crumble.
What if Aaron Timber? What if he only hits 3 home runs in September and Ohtani just keeps going with his pitching? Aaron Judge falls short of 60. He ends up with like 55, 57. His MVP.
Are you saying the curse of Roger Maris? He can't reach that mark, the 61 mark?
I think Aaron Judge is the MVP. I think it should go to, if you're actually in a pennant race, and they're only 6 games up over more of a race than they want. But we'll see. That's going to be really interesting to watch too. For all intents and purposes, the same amount behind the Astros as they are in front of.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to find real quick. I should have already had this up, but I know that Shohei Ohtani's pitched the Astros pretty well, but at the same time, it's been hot and cold against him. So I'll look that up a little bit later. Good.
Here in Minute Maid, he had a 7-inning no hitter. It was pretty miserable to watch.
Right. So definitely, it's definitely a situation where it's never a good time to face Shohei Ohtani because when his stuff is on, it's on. So on Sunday's game, you've got Jose Urquidy, who's like one of the Astros' best pitchers, not named Framber Valdez and Justin Verlander. He's turned it on. A lot of people are like, he needs to get out of the rotation early in the year. Now he's like he's just awesome. And he just throws strikes and he's just what a pitcher should be. He's 12-5, 3.69 ERA. Facing Tucker Davidson. I believe he went from the Braves to the Angels in the Rafael Iglesias trade. So none of the Astros have really faced him except for Christian Vasquez, who's 0-2 against him. So
what about? But that doesn't include World Series at bats, does he? Last year, didn't we?
No, I think we did face him, but I don't think that includes playoffs. So no.
I think the Astros have seen him before. Just they haven't seen him in the regular season.
Right. Definitely. And so if you're looking at Jose Urquidy, he's had Shohei Ohtani has a home run against him, and so does Taylor Ward. So Taylor Ward's had some success against the Astros, and he's kind of cooled off a little bit this lately. But David Fletcher, wow, he's batting .455 against Urquidy. So he is the we interviewed Billy Wagner on Talking Stros, and who was it that he said was his nemesis? Wasn't it David Eckstein? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
hate that.
That's
guy.
Yeah. So definitely there's some matchups there. So I think that this is a series that the Astros can easily take at least 2 out of 3, if not all 3 of the games. And the Astros at this point just need to keep on trucking on and just keep on adding wins, stay ahead of the Yankees, try to gain ground on the teams in the NL, including the Dodgers. The Dodgers keep on hitting injury woes, and I know you can't always get home field advantage over every team, but it'll be nice to have it over as many teams in NL as we can because I'm worried about some of those teams. So which team would you be the most concerned about in the NL, Brandon?
Just because the Scherzer DeGrom, you're going to have to beat them 4 times. I mean, they're going to game 1, 2, and game 6, 7, right? So
yeah.
That's most, they still have decent hitters with Alonso and Starling Marte. So I mean, they don't scare you as much as the Dodgers and the Braves with the additions of Michael Harrison, Vaughn Grissom, William Contreras. The Braves lineup is a lot deeper than the Mets. The Braves look really strong. Obviously, the Dodgers are going to be strong. But because of that 1-2 punch, that's the one team I would not want to face is the Mets.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the Braves, they're always dangerous, and we saw how they took care of the Astros last year. The Padres seem to be falling on their face a little bit as well. I mean, they traded for Josh Hader, and he's just I don't know. He doesn't even look like Josh Hader anymore. Then the Fernando Tatis thing, that's just crazy to watch. The Dodgers are doing pretty good. And then you've got a couple other teams out there that the Cardinals. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to kind of see the Astros versus Cardinals World Series after all those
I
years
love
of playing them?
that matchup. First of all, you get to see Paul Goldschmidt. No, I think first of all, I'd love that matchup because I think the Astros are much better than the Cardinals. Their starting pitching is not as deep as the other teams, and neither is their bullpen. They've got, but beyond that, there's nobody in that bullpen that really scares me. And it really scares me. Wainwright's a solid veteran, but nobody. Yeah, I'm not worried about their starting pitching. It's just, can you shut down player? I think you can pitch around Arenado, and beyond play. They do play really good defense. That's the Astros and Cardinals are probably the best two defense. I would love to play the Cardinals. That'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, I think that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Brandon, thank you for filling in for Brett. And, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen. Go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022. An 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. And once again, Brandon and I are looking at restarting Talking Stros once a week, and we'll have some more news on that, and we'll definitely be making some announcement here, and I will be still doing Locked On Astros, so don't you worry about that. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, and hopefully Astros take care of business, and it's always great to face Shohei Ohtani, and I'm excited to see what Hunter Brown can do for you. And so